now listening to Type 88 on Maker Park Radio with Dave Noodlez. Don't stop dreaming.
Yeah. It's a beautiful Wu-Tang Wednesday in Shaolin. It's like 70-something degrees. I'm here looking at Maker Park. It's getting cooler by the week. I played a lot of cool tracks from only emerging and underground artists. I just want to shout out some of them. Shout out to Raheem, Division X, Keys Van Gogh, Tennille Janae, Gerard Levert, Ventrice, Brody James, Miko Sky, Philip II, Think Twice, MCRE, Leah Anderson, The Most Strange, Descendant, Kojo Stone, Esane, Axel, M. Dot, C, D Cure, Tex, Michelle Sangali, Mercury and the Architects, Johnny Petrop, Champ Beats, BLK the Beatman. Thank you so much for making fire. Play nothing but exclusives and underground smash on the Type 88 show. And big shout out to Maker Park Radio for just this beautiful home. So here we are. Got a really special guest today. It's crazy. I actually met you about 10 or 11 years ago. And we had the same class back at CSI, right?
Yeah, it was amazing. and then I bumped into you at another place on Wave Street. I bumped into you a few years ago on Wave Street.
Yeah.
There was some kind of seminar going on, and I don't know, I forgot who you were, but we started talking about other things, and then you said, oh yeah, I remember you, and I know your son. And it's amazing that we've come along this far. We're still hanging with each other, Dave. I can't thank you enough for having me on today. So exciting.
It's an honor to have you. Your whole family is just a huge positive vibe spreaders, and you're one of the founding members of the Positive Vibe. So I thought it was only right to talk to you and learn a little bit about your story and just life and things like that. It's always good to learn more about people that I look up to.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I keep trying to reinvent myself. It's funny because when I was younger, I never thought of things like that. And it wasn't until, I progressed in life that I decided that it's time to reinvent myself. Every few years, something comes up and you have to change. And you have to go with the flow, which is hard sometimes, but it's okay. It's all good.
Yeah. Was there ever, where did, so maybe, let's start early on. Where are you from?
Okay, I'm Brooklynite.
Nice.
Yeah, it was cool living in Brooklyn during those times, and I don't mean to sound archaic, but it was a lot of fun, actually. And my youth was very simple, and I don't know, it was amazing. It was kind of carefree, where you're just out all the time, getting air, getting exercise. You actually had parents that told you, get out, go play. And play back then meant, getting out there, walking, riding a bike, ice skating in the wintertime, just doing so many things, compared to now what play is sitting down and playing with your iPod or your iPhone and whatnot. So it was a very healthy environment. We had a lot of fun, and everything was really about, okay, what are we going to do today? What's going to be fun? And then the disco season, the era started, and I loved disco. I used to go to clubs Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and then if I was bored, on Sunday nights.
Wow.
And actually get up. Sometimes I didn't sleep, just went straight from the discos to work. It was really comical. But it was all a fun thing. And I look back, I regret that I didn't go to college when I was younger, but I would never want to give up the fun times that I had.
I feel like you kind of found the balance. I think people say nowadays woke. I don't know if you've heard the phrase stay woke.
What does that mean?
It's just kind of like finding yourself and figuring out your balance and like being aware of who you are and what's important to you and around the world. So that's cool that you didn't kind of let work completely take over. I think it was good you it's just been like years and years of just constant evolution.
That's true. But also, I mean, I didn't let work get into my life that much because, let's face it, I wasn't a doctor. So I had a lot of free time. You know, you went to work. As soon as you left work, boom, it was time to have fun. And
Exactly.
I was lucky to have a lot of friends that were single. So it was a really great time during that era. And actually, I was telling my sons about twice I've been to Studio 54 in its heyday, which was amazing. You stood out there for hours and hours, and it wasn't even a popular night. And you still had to wait 4 hours to get in. But I could say I went there. Who could say that?
Wow.
And they were even after-hours joints. So after you finish with one club at 3 in the morning, you get in the car and you drive to the city, and you go to an after-hours club and dance until 7 in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just the way it was. And it was a fun time. And I sometimes see with people today, people from in their 20s to their 30s, they don't have that outlet really, because it's a totally different world. It's not the same thing like, oh, I got to go out tonight and have some fun. Actually,
Yeah,
you know, yesterday was an anniversary of John Travolta walked down 86th Street in Brooklyn, and he ate the famous slice of pizza at Lenny's Pizzeria.
Cool.
And Joe Corsi got involved, and I looked online, and there were hundreds and hundreds of people to come out and see John Travolta.
Wow.
And it's funny because he filmed around the corner from where I lived when he was doing Saturday Night Fever, and I got to see him, so that was very exciting.
That's really cool.
Yeah. I always liked dancing, but I didn't really take lessons until I was over 21.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know you got into all that stuff, so around
Yeah,
21,
later.
what did you take?
And it was fun. I did tap dancing, then ballroom dancing. But people assume when I say that I'm like the Dancing with the Stars people, and it's not the case.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not that disciplined. I did it for fun. It's
Mhm.
all about fun. And it's funny, I go to weddings, and people are waiting for me to get up and dance so everyone else can start. Sometimes it's like a lot of pressure, like, okay, aren't you going to get up and dance? Okay, let's do it. And I like all kinds. I like disco, I like ballroom, I like big band era, I like jazz. Yeah, there's a lot. Classical.
My dad is big into jazz. That's
Yeah,
like his
and
favorite thing.
Playing the piano at a young age, I learned a lot of classical. So I like to listen to different genres. And then when my kids got into rap music, I like that too. I think music keeps you young. I really do.
Yeah, I've literally gone through some tough times this year, and I like wouldn't reach for a drink. I would literally reach for the I'm like, I got to put this track on. And then I'd be like, I just like zone in and like completely zone out of what was wrong.
Well, that's good.
And,
you need something like that to
music.
carry on in life. You know, with me, when
Yeah.
I hear a song from the past, my sons will sometimes say, okay, Ma, what does it remind you of? Because it actually brings me back to that moment when I heard that song. I more or
Same.
less know where I was at that moment and who I was with. And it either brings a happy memory or a funny memory or sometimes tears to my eyes because it was bittersweet. But it's amazing because they don't have that where I have all these great memories. So I like that. It's fun.
That's so cool because it's literally the same for me. Like I could hear like they'll do like someone will do a post Throwback Thursday and they'll be like, oh, the 50 Cent album, and I'll literally remember like going in my friend Drew's new Jeep and we were like 17 and just going to like Clove Lakes Park and just hanging out, and like music really does that for me too. And I
That's
always talk
good.
about it on the show, how like certain albums, like what was the album that like changed you or like just, you know, made your life better? Was there an album that really did that to you? Like you look back on it and there's just like good memories around it, or it just really inspired you?
Okay, well, I have to go back. I sound like a old
No,
hag
no.
disco queen over here,
It's all
but
good.
Saturday Night Fever album was really an integral part of the era and my life back then. So that brings back a lot of memories, especially living in Bay Ridge, where 2001 Odyssey, where they filmed the movie, where I danced on that floor. Of course, not on the night what they filmed, but, you know, so it brings back memories and fun memories. And So that's definitely one. And then there was an album. It was really a remix because years ago they would remix a few songs, disco songs together. But the way they mixed it, it just goes one into the other, so you never miss a beat when you're dancing.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I was dating my spouse, the first night we were going out, I had talked about that I had liked dancing. He said he liked to dance. He knew how to dance. I liked to dance. So he came to pick me up, and we started to talk in my apartment. And I said to myself, does he really know how to dance? And he's thinking the same thing. And believe it or not, I moved the furniture out of the way, and I put on this record, and we start dancing in the middle of my living room. And it was so funny because I'm saying, oh, wow, he does know how to dance, and he's thinking the same thing. And crazy criteria, who you want and what you want in your life. And we wound up dancing the rest of our life, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was the album you put on first?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And it was just like a remix of a whole bunch of disco songs piled in together. It didn't even really have a name to it, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But that was fun. And afterwards we went out to eat, and then we went to a disco. We danced all night, and I kind of cinched it, you know.
Yeah,
I knew I wanted someone that liked to dance. He didn't have to be a great dancer, but he had to at least like to dance.
Yeah.
And he was thinking the same thing. So be careful what you wish for.
That's interesting because I've literally been dating people and then they didn't want to dance or even danced. And I literally said to myself in that moment, all right, that's not the one.
Look
and they
at
weren't the
you.
one.
Very
Like,
smart.
I'm from a family of dancers too. Like my
Good for
dad,
you.
he was in ballet when he was young.
Nice.
He was like the only boy in the ballet photo, the black and white one from
Oh, wow.
50 something years ago.
That's
And
beautiful.
he would always call me Barish, like Barishnikov.
Yes, yes.
And growing up, he would always like, you know how like the dads grab the kid's shoulders and they're like, ah, dad. Like he would always do that and be like, hey, Barish. And he would like always annoy me. And like I even find myself now giving people like interesting names and like nicknames and stuff. I don't grab them in the shoulder and hurt them like he did, but it's just funny. But my mom and dad are similar vibe. They kind of start the dance off.
Oh, that's good to know. I have to go
Yeah.
dancing with them. That's what we have to do. You know, it's a lost art sometimes, I feel, because some of the music, as great as it is, it's not always dancing music. When there is a song, when I go to these concerts or the shows that I go to with the young artist, if there's something that's hopping, I want to dance, you know.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
kind of get very antsy just sitting there, and I want to dance. I'm thinking to myself,
Yep.
I feel very alive when I'm dancing. And like I said, I'm not one of these professional dancers. I don't dance like Dancing on the Stars, but it just makes me come alive, and it's just a lot of fun, and I can forget about everything else in my life. So why the heck not?
It's crazy. Just the fact about me. In IS school, I went to IS 51. I was too shy to even try to dance with anyone. But then a school later, I actually was voted runner-up for best dancer, best male dancer in my
boy.
school. So it was like, I think it kind of comes back to the whole like believing in yourself, like finding yourself, or like,
True.
you know, figuring yourself out. Because I was able to dance back in 51, but it was just something in me that was like, oh, no one will, you know, I don't know what I was even thinking.
Well, you weren't ready, and then you were, and that's good to know,
Exactly.
because if we're ever at a party and there's music, now I'm going to drag you on the dance floor. You don't stand a chance. We're going to have some fun. That's good. That's good to know.
Yeah,
You know, I like that. I think that's very important. Even when my kids were growing up, I wanted them in dance in school, and especially at a young age, because I didn't have that luxury. My parents didn't have that kind of money. And
Yeah.
so by 5, they were in dance in school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they did different tap. They did jazz, and then one of my sons did ballet.
Okay.
So there was a lot of that, which is good, and it really works out well, because when they do go out or go to a party or a wedding, they can hold their own, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
That's
it does
really
bring
cool.
confidence too.
Yeah, yeah. I see that. That's kind of been a word that's just been, I've been seeing more and more, and I've been dealing with situations where I'm seeing that it comes into play big time, in a good way or a bad way, or
Right.
or it just, there is none, and then it's like nothing's happening, or I'm seeing it and like people are just completely shining through
Mm-hmm.
and doing so well. And were you always like confident?
No,
Okay.
no. Actually, I mean, I thought I was. I always had this bravado. So people thought I was very confident when I was younger, but it was more of just a bravado. When you don't challenge yourself, how confident can you be? And back then, I really didn't challenge myself. I wasn't as ambitious as I am now. I'm really a late bloomer when it comes to that. Even when it came to college, I felt I couldn't cut it in college, so I didn't go when I was younger. And it wasn't until I was much older that I started to go. Also because I had the fear of college, and one New Year's Eve I made a resolution to face one of my fears, and one of my fears was college.
Wow.
So that compelled me. And then also my son, when he was young, he asked me if I went to college, and I was kind of embarrassed to say, no, I didn't go, because here I was always professing, you got to go to college when you're older.
Yeah, yeah.
So I thought, okay, let me do this. And I took my time, and I prayed that my first professor would be really good, so I'd have the incentive to go on. And he was phenomenal.
Wow.
He had such a brain, and oh my God, I didn't know there were people out there like that. And I didn't know what I wanted to do, what degree. So I took a lot of courses. I started out with psychology and realized you really need a master's or a PhD for that. And I wasn't going to do that. Plus, I get impatient, and I think at one point, if I was counseling someone and they weren't moving along, I'd have to shake them and say, snap out of it, and say, like, oh, enough already. Stop feeling sorry for yourself.
Yeah.
So that wasn't going to work. So then I did some acting courses. That was fun. And what else? Oh, I did radio production courses and
Awesome.
film and video. And
I
film
did.
and video was nice. Well, back then it was really tape, like, reel to reel,
remember
and
that,
then
yeah.
some videos, VHS. I liked the filming part, but I didn't like the editing. That I didn't like
Got it.
sitting there all those hours. That just not, I'm not one to sit for hours.
Yep.
So then I went on to doing corporate communications, my bachelor's in that, with a minor in journalism and business. Because I took
Nice.
so many courses, I wound up with this degree like that. And I really enjoyed it. And by the time I graduated, I was 52 years old.
Yeah.
And like I
Wow.
said, I took my time. And in between, I buried father-in-law, my father, my stepfather. It was rough. And I tell people, do it when you're young, because it's really hard to raise kids, work part-time to pay for your college, and bury your folks on top of it.
Wow,
It
yeah, yeah.
was, but it gave me confidence, because that was really when I challenged myself, and I was obsessed about getting A's, where
wow.
in high school I couldn't care less. So
Yeah, you
and
have
I
a different
felt good.
maturity. Cause,
Yeah,
'cause
and
when
I
you jump in,
enjoyed it.
when you're 18,
Yeah,
I
nobody
remember I
enjoys
jumped
it.
into college. I was like, whoa. It was just like,
Yeah, it's reality
crazy
world,
world,
right?
yeah.
But
So that's
you know
cool.
what? I really enjoyed it. I embraced every class I had, and the professors were great. I think when you're a little bit older, they respect you more, because I know a lot of students say, oh, this teacher doesn't believe anything I say. It gives me a hard
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
No, they were very good to me. And the ones that were, kind of pompous. I had one professor, my radio production course, and he was busting my chops because I'd get to class sometimes 10 minutes late. And I said to him, listen, I got a family I take care of, but even though I come in late, I'm going to get an A in this class. And I did. And then I had another professor that bust my chops because I was late. So I finally decided, it was an all-girl class, and he was this real macho guy. So in front of everyone, I said, you know why I'm late? Because I breastfeed my baby first. Well, he turned purple, and he shut his mouth after that. I like to shock people. I think that's fun. People say to me, you're very open, you're very honest. I let people see my vulnerable side. I'm tired of being a phony. And sometimes they take it the wrong way. They see stuff on Facebook, because I can get very dark. And the only way to get that darkness off of me is to push it out
Talk
there in
about it.
cyberspace, and then I feel better. But a lot of people take it the wrong way. They think, first of all, why is she doing that and letting everybody know? But
Got
it's
it.
okay.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
this is me, and I'm real. And what I feel is real. And maybe people feel like that, but they're embarrassed to say it. And I'm not. So I don't care what else they say about it.
That's real, yeah. Because I look at social media as a place to share my story too, and a lot of people be like, wow, some people get really inspired by it.
Mm-hmm.
But like a lot of that, it took me a while because like I was going through a dark place or like I was really trying to figure something out, and I'm like, all right, you know. But it's cool how we all kind of tell our own story.
Yeah.
And it's like we both kind of have the same goal to, you know, to kind of heal or like move forward. But yeah, we you know, we all have our own delivery method and path to figure that out. So that's really cool. And the fact that you're not holding it in, I always tell people like, oh, I'm dealing with this stuff. What do I do? I'm like, talk about it.
Definitely.
You know, with someone you consult in, or even just put it out there. All of a sudden, someone may be like, hey, I went to this school and try this. Or, oh, my friend's a doctor. Or all you got to do is you're putting the left shoe here, put it on the right foot. You know what I
Try
mean?
something different. That's true.
Yeah,
you know, a lot of people think you put it out there to get validation or to get people to feel sorry for you. And that's not the case. I don't care how you feel about it. I'm just got to get it off my chest. I've got to get it off of me and my mind that's making it too dark. And I just want to feel better. And then afterwards I can, you know, be comical about it, you know, and laugh. I put something out the other day about my father, who gave me this great compliment that I had balls, excuse my French. But that was a great compliment. And I feel lately I've lost that. And and I put it out there. And I feel like formerly known as the girl with the big ones, you know, because I don't know where she is sometimes. And people were appalled that I wrote that. And I just like, hey, I thought it was funny, though.
There you go. That's it. You know, follow, unfollow. You know, there's situations where I'm just like, you know what? I want to see more of this. Oh, okay, I don't want to see too much of that. So it's on them to take it how they want it.
Right.
But yeah, you've been on quite a journey. I know you of course, you graduated school. You said 52.
Mm-hmm.
You've done a lot of different things in the world of the nonprofit world and even the media. So maybe let us know a little bit about maybe the nonprofit thing you were doing for a little bit.
Okay. So what happened was, as soon as I graduated from college, the nonprofit that I had been volunteering for was called Myasthenia Gravis Alliance. My mother had that autoimmune neuromuscular disease, and I got involved in it to understand the disease better. So I graduated, and the director said, you know, I really want to leave, and do you want to take over? So I had read somewhere in a book that, you know, someone gives you an opportunity, say yes. So I do that. I say yes. I go home and I start freaking out. Like, oh, my God, what did I just do? But, you know, I put out my rules out there. I said, look, I still have young kids at home. I can't work full time. I'm going to work part time. And that was good. So I got thrown into the world of nonprofit. I had done fundraising before because at the College of CSI, I was the supervisor for their annual phone-a-thon, and I did that for 10 years and did quite well with that. So I knew a little bit. I wasn't shy about asking people for money. But it was very hard because when the director left, it was a one-person office. It was me. And let me tell you, there were times it was very stressful because I had to learn how to write newsletters, and to write the newsletter about the disease, you had to do research. What's new out there? What's the new medications? And then on top of it, because it wasn't a very well-known disease, myasthenia gravis, you're not getting many donations. You know, you're getting more for diabetes, you know, foundations and heart disease. So it was quite difficult. And I started researching, looking for grants, and I reached out to the company that made my mother's medication, and I was able to obtain a $45,000 grant. So then I went on to research what was being researched with myasthenia, and I found the University of California was doing research on it, so I funded that. And I did this this job for about 6 years, and then 2014 I got diagnosed with breast cancer. And that was a shock. You know, my sons were surprised because they thought I always ate healthy and was pretty healthy. But it's not something that happens right away. It's a culmination of things over 20, 30, 40 years. People don't seem to understand that. So, no, I didn't always eat good. There were times when I was younger, I ate, extra cheese on my pizza. Or, you know,
I do a lot of that.
I mean, I had quit smoking in 1983, but still, I had smoked for 8 years of my life. You just don't know. Stress comes into play, too. There had been more stress as you get older and you have a family. There's so many reasons why things mutate I felt like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was a shock. I think the hardest thing was telling my sons and my mom. And I explained as much as I could, and I'm very thorough. I went to 3 other doctors to get their advice and decided on this one doctor. And actually, I thought it would be something simple like, okay, take my breast off, and I never have to think about it again.
Oh, wow.
But I learned a lot about cancer, especially breast cancer, that if it comes out of the milk duct, it can be hidden anywhere else. So whether you take your breast off or not, doesn't matter.
Got it.
So instead, I had lumpectomies, I had some radiation, and I really was lucky I didn't need chemo because that scared me. I was petrified of chemotherapy, and I don't know, the sky was aligned in the right way, and I didn't need chemo. I take a pill, and I had to learn to educate myself, and I had to learn to calm down because in the very beginning, I was petrified to eat anything. I thought everything I ate, I was going to die.
I know.
So I went to a nutritionist, and I learned about exercising the right way, and it took a year to really get back to the swing of things. I was walking 4 miles a day. I was really doing good. I was doing yoga and weightlifting. And I wanted to show my sons, even though they were older now, that, you can bounce back. There was some kind of basis of healthiness to my life, and I was able to bounce back. And that's what it's all about. We get torn down, we get hit, we get knocked out, but you got to get back up again. No one's going to TKO me forever. That's how I feel about it.
There you go.
And there were times where I felt like there's this little Debra on one shoulder that's the victim and wants to be the victim because it's very comfortable, like sitting there feeling sorry for yourself.
Yeah.
And then there's the other Debra on the right shoulder that says, hey, you're a fighter. And there was this constant battle until one day I realized I don't want to die a victim. And I don't want my family to see that.
Yeah.
I have to give them the incentive. So things were working out well. I was eating good and exercising. And then the next year, which is 2015, I got diagnosed with chronic myeloid leukemia, which is a blood disorder. It starts in the bone marrow, and it's basically 2 chromosomes that mutated. Wow. So I had more mutations in my body. You'd think I worked at a nuclear plant, where I'm glowing in the dark. I don't know. I called the radiation doctor and I yelled at him. I said, when I had the radiation for the breast cancer, did you do this to me? And he goes, Debra, you had 6 days of radiation. No, this is something that's been growing for a long time. So again, these diseases were slow growing. I was very lucky with both that they were stage 1. Wow. So at one point, I knew I was going to live, but when I first got the leukemia, I went from walking 4 miles to not even being able to walk up a flight of steps. Wow. But like somebody was sitting on my chest. I knew right away something was wrong. It was horrible. And it took 6 months to get my strength back. And that's the hard part. When you stop the gym and then try to go back, it is so painful. But I did it again. And I felt that I really needed to educate myself more about nutrition. And that was important. I started doing more research. And in the interim, I met a girl at a support group that was talking about doing a show on community TV, CTV in Staten Island. And I said, I always wanted to do that with cancer, a cancer show, but I didn't have the energy to do it alone. So we started it. She's the founder of Cancer Tamer talk show and cancertamer.org organization. Wow. Dr. Charlie Ferrer, who had breast cancer and thyroid cancer. So we both have 2 different cancers each. Wow. This way we don't overshine the other person. Our personality works well, and I'm a segment director on the show, so I'm the one that I research what's out there, and I talk about the new medications, what you can do for nutrition, what kind of exercise, what's important when you take certain medications, and I find guests for the show. So I found yoga teachers, lawyers to talk about elderly care and wills and living trust, and an array of things from essential oils to whatever, to Tibetan bells, believe it or not, and chimes that go through your body when they're bonging them. It's been fun. I've done some camera work with it. We've gone on location to different doctors too. And what we're trying to do is get more funding. I was able to obtain some funding from a small organization out here, South Shore Rotary Club, which was great. And Dr. Charlie wrote a book, Breast Cancer from Diagnosed to Surgery, and they funded the printing so that we can give those books out for free to cancer patients. We like to go out there, different events, health fairs. The Staten Island Rolling Thunder Veterans. We've been at a few events with them. We've done some workshops at Rutgers College. We plan to do more to educate people. And now I actually have a plant-based nutrition certificate from T. Colin Campbell Institute,
Wow,
so that now
cool.
I can talk and really explain nutrition a lot better, because I think that's a main factor. You can have any disease, but okay, so how do you stay away from getting a reoccurrence? Is basically your exercise, lowering your fat level, because fat cells make estrogen, and estrogen actually makes cancers.
Wow.
Believe it or not. So that's very important. Exercise is important because the pills I take will ruin my bones, so I'm trying to stay ahead of it. I actually found a molecular bone doctor, and that's another thing. I push advocating, because you can't just sit there and believe that your doctor's God. I don't care how good they
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
My doctors are good at Cornell, but still, you need to advocate and educate yourself. I've met women that didn't even know what
Exactly.
kind of stage cancer they had, and I was
Oh,
like,
wow.
whoa, you really have to read up on it, and you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to know what you're talking about, and not be afraid. Women are afraid. People are afraid to read more. And, it's mind-boggling. I actually met 2 guys that had breast cancer. I never knew that they can
Wow.
get it. So there's so much out there that you need to learn. And I feel bad for the men that have breast cancer, because they really feel alone. We had them come to the support group, and, they were the only guys, and it was really rough for them. And my heart went out to them. And it's important because they need to talk about it more, and they don't have a place to talk about it.
Yeah.
But my job, I feel, is to educate and to also talk about subjects that most people are embarrassed to talk about. What the cancers do to you emotionally, mentally, physically, and how it changes the dynamics of your family, and how people address you. Or even I've had friends that stopped calling me when they found out I had breast cancer, so
Wow.
they weren't really my friends. They didn't even know I had leukemia, because they never talked to me again.
Oh, wow.
And that was hard. That was the hardest part. But then I had to, reflect and think about it all. And the congregation of the church I go to, the Rossville AME Zion Church, which is a great church. It's an African Episcopalian Methodist church. They are so strong there, and they've helped me through so much. They've prayed over me. And when I feel like falling, they catch me. They're very strong.
Wow.
And when
Amazing.
I wimp out, I look at them and go, oh, God, why am I whipping out? These women have been through a hell of a lot more, and they're doing
Wow.
great, and Reverend Jones is there, too. So actually, years ago, I did a show on CTV, and I did a show on the Rossville AME Zion Church. We did a show on my journey at the church and how
Wow.
I found spirituality and
Amazing.
good people. Really good people, and I was doing public relations for them to try to promote the church. So we do a lot. So getting back to the Cancer Tamer, now we're at the point where we do workshops, body love workshops, and recently we're doing tomorrow actually essential oils event at BCB Bank on Forest Avenue.
Okay.
And it's from 12:30 to 2:30, and to teach you about essential oils and how to relax yourself with these oils. And besides that, we're trying to get funding to send some women to the Poconos with us to do a Celebrate of Life adventure with whitewater
Cool.
rafting.
Wow.
So if people go online under www.cancertamer.org and look under Celebrate Life, you'll see this fundraiser. So we're collecting funds, and the more funds we get, like right now we can send four women to do
Okay.
it for free. And if they come with their family, then it's like $97, But it's
Okay.
fun. It's lunch. It's the bus ride. It's
Nice.
just to have fun. And we'd like to do some bucket list things.
How many ladies are you trying to get to go?
Well, so far we got funding for 4, and we're
Okay.
hoping to get more funding, or just people coming and they pay whatever, the $97. But
Okay.
we're hoping
Oh,
to get
that's
at
not
least 10 that we can send for free. And so I'm going to try it. I've done canoeing. I've done kayaking. I never did whitewater rafting, but it sounds like a hell of a good time.
Yeah.
And I've actually done the boarding, the waterboarding, which was fun.
Okay.
So this is something new, and this is what we want to do. I want to educate the community. What I'd want to do, too, my next goal is to educate younger people. It's hard because they're fearful of hearing cancer, but it really
Yeah.
starts at puberty. If there's not health breasts then, whatever you've done and whatever you eat later on down the road is going to show up, especially with the obesity in the teenagers and stuff, and the fat cells which make cancer cells. So that's something that is very important to me that I hope to get out there at one point. And so, and actually at Weill Cornell, they just asked me to be on the board of the Cancer Patient Advisory Board, so
Wow.
that I can not only advocate for patients, but to actually educate them.
Wow.
So I'm very excited. My first meeting is next Tuesday.
It's
And
amazing.
yeah, so I'm trying to do things. I'm trying to show everybody, what I'm doing. And in the interim, I'm enjoying, my sons are making music, Red Planet Records, LLC, and it keeps me young. And I like when their friends come over and they record, and I listen to the music, and it just is a lot of fun. And everyone I met is so great, especially you, Dave. I really appreciate it. And,
yeah, of course.
I hope to keep dancing with the music and enjoying their music, and really everybody's music, and that's how I feel about it.
There's so many talented people, and yeah, and the people I've met from Red Planet and people that came out of the studio, I played one of the guys, Raheem.
Oh, Raheem, he's a
Played
doll.
one of his songs, and I look forward to hearing.
Yeah.
I know the guy Sammy,
Oh, yes.
and of course your sons. They're both great.
Yeah, Stefan and
excited to hear
Jordan, very
their new
good.
stuff.
I actually, when Raheem comes over, he sleeps over for a few days, so it's nice. We have dinners together. It's really
Cool.
comical. It's like a bed and breakfast, and that's all right. Like I said, I feel like it keeps me alive, and that's the whole thing. My mother, when she heard I had the cancers, her first thought was, I think, oh God, let me die because I don't want to bury my daughter.
Oh, no. Yeah.
And I said to my mom, I'm not dying, so you can't die. And actually, I'm be moving my mother in September because she really doesn't want to live alone anymore. And I was a
Wow.
little hesitant because it's going to be a big undertaking, but whatever's left of her life, I want her to be happy and be with
so
us.
important.
Yeah, it's very important. It's very important for the family to see this is what you have to do sometimes, People took care of you, and now sometimes you have to do the same, and
Exactly.
it shouldn't be a burden. It should be, hey, I want to do this. This is my blood, and that's very important to me, I think. And thank God I've taught values. I've tried to always instill my beliefs in what they want to do, and that's important because I think a child can't go far unless they have confidence, and it's so hard these days to have confidence. But if you have the confidence, you can soar, and that's what it's all about.
I agree, and I think we talked about goals too, and I think setting a goal. What I always, a few people have pointed out to me, like, Dave, you always set goals that you could hit. You never set goals that you don't hit. I'm like, I do have them,
Right.
but I'm like, I have to hit 50 little ones to hit to that. Also, I love the feeling of just accomplishing the goal,
It must be
because then
great.
it just makes
yes.
it more real to do other ones. It's
Right.
not.
I think it makes it easier, don't you think?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it builds the confidence, and then two, you see that it's real. Like,
Right.
I
And
was
that it
telling
could be possible.
exactly. I was telling you how I put out an album, and that was actually like the first dream I ever had. It was just putting out an album, and then it was like, wait, I could do things
That is great.
not a test at a school.
Right.
I could do something that's a test in life.
Yeah, and you did it by yourself, and that's
Yeah, yeah.
commendable, and that's something I just learned about you, which I had no idea. Now I want to hear it. And I hear you perform too, and I didn't know that, so that's a good thing. I love good people, and what I love about you, Dave, is that you're good with the community, and you want to give back, and that's what's very important to me and my children, my sons too, is because you have to give it back, because
Exactly.
somebody's out there giving it to you, and that's what you can do. And you're here for a purpose, and what you do with young students, teens, and your show last week with Sundog at St. George
It was
Theater.
amazing.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. You had a goal and you did it, and it was beautiful. And next year is going to be bigger and better and grand, and it's just so exciting.
Yeah.
And I'm sure everybody's in awe of you. I know I am.
I'm just grateful that, you were talking about all these different tests of life, but then when you overcome them, how more of a beast you are. Like, you're just this, like, unbreakable.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
That's the truth.
that was a design that we did a while ago for Hurricane Sandy,
Mhm.
just putting different people's hands together, literally photos of people's hands doing positive
Oh,
things.
really?
And
Oh,
we
my
raised
God.
money for Hurricane Sandy victims.
Oh.
And like, just hearing every one of your stories, you just define unbreakable, because you're like, all right, this happened, but I didn't let it bury me. I actually lifted higher, and I rose to the occasion, and nothing really stopped me.
Right. I
And,
mean, I have my days, like I'm human
yeah,
too, where I
of
want to
course.
put my, the sheets over my head and stay under the covers and feel safe, because I did that for a little while until that girl came back on my shoulder on the right, the strong Debra, and said, "Get up." Don't let this get you down, because there's always somebody that's going to kick you down, and you got to get up. And I have to talk, and psych myself up into
Yeah.
that, but it's okay. And again, I want to be a role model. I want that when I'm gone, that my family knows I tried. Now, I was lucky. Like I said, there are people that have it a lot worse, and I'm so grateful because I didn't have to go through the chemo that a lot of people went through. My
Wow.
radiation was 5 days. There are people that go for 6 months, 8 months. So I'm grateful. And I never thought, if you asked me 5 years ago, would I be grateful because I have stage 1 cancer? Well, yeah, you bet your ass I am, in plain English. It could have been worse. It really could have been worse. And who knows what the future will bring. But I have good doctors. I really do. And I'm on
Wow.
top of it. And that's why I want to tell people, too, that when you don't feel good, don't just push it to the side and say, it will go away. If it's consistent, there's something up, and you got to check it out. And that's what it's all about. And question it. Yes, it's fearful, but get over that fear, because you could save your life. And I know with women and even men, you're busy with your life. You have family, or you're working, and it's very hard. And I feel with me, I put a lot on the back burner because, I was trying to take care of everything else.
Yeah.
And then, I knew something was up because I felt tired, really tired for a long time. And I would tell my doctor, I feel like I'm dying inside. And
Wow.
they were like, you're just depressed, until I got to the point where, no, this is bull. I need to do something. And the one doctor that didn't want to listen, I dumped that doctor and went on to someone else.
There
And
you
I love
go.
doing that. Like, hey, you're not going to do what I need to have in my life. Get lost.
You need it. Yeah, a team
And,
is so important.
it's very empowering too, to be able to call some of the shots in the world where it's very hard to call the shots. So I'm glad, and all I could do is hope for the best, and that's it. That's what it's all about. And in between, trying to have fun. It doesn't always work. There are days that I'm in pain from the medication, or I feel sick from the medication, and I just chill out. Now I know to rest. And the days I'm
Exactly.
good, I'm out there. The other day I felt good. I was out in Brooklyn walking the promenade in Brooklyn Heights and having a good time.
I saw
So-
it. Yeah, I saw on Facebook.
Yeah, it was so nice over there. So that's what I do, and I hope to do more. I really do. I'm looking forward to a lot of different things I would have never been into if this didn't happen. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. That leads me to a question. What are some of your new dreams now that you've done several other ones?
Well, I always liked writing. From a teenager, I always had a diary, so I would write my feelings, and I'm very into expressing them. And my boys always say, write a book. But I said, I write from emotions, and not everybody wants to read that, or I really got to find the time. I'm the type of person, when I put my mind to something, I don't want to be interrupted. And it's hard in this life right now. Like, I feel like other people, they can be interrupted, stop what they're doing, do what they have to do, and then go back to writing or making a song. I'm not like that. I'm the type of person, I used to wake up at 7 in the morning and say, gee, I hate the color of my room. I'd run to Home Depot, get a different color paint, and I'd paint all day long from 8 o'clock till
Wow.
6 at night. Boom, it was done, and that was it. As long as it wasn't interrupted. I've got to learn to be able to do this and deal with the interruptions. I get lazy once I get interrupted. I'm like, I don't want to go back to that. But they keep saying, write something, you write good. Why waste your time writing it on Facebook when you could write it in a book? So I hope before I leave this beautiful earth that I'll do that. I'm not ready to do that right now.
Okay.
Right now I have to focus on my mother for now. But
There you go.
that's one. But my goal, like I said, was I'd like to be able to educate young people. about their health, and especially women with their breast. Healthy breast has a healthy life. So that's important to me. I'd like to, another goal is I'd like to be in the front row of the MTV Awards someday.
Awesome.
When my sons win an award. That's a definite goal. I want to be there, and whatever works to keep me going to be there, I want to do that. I think that's important. And just trying to find a balance and trying to calm down a little bit, because I'm kind of hyper. I was even more hyper before, so this to me is slow.
Okay.
And I get angry at myself because I'm like, I'm not moving as fast, and I'm not doing. And people go, "What are you, nuts? You're so hyper." I was worse. I was bouncing off walls. But to try to find some more peace inside, that has to be found, or I'm going to drive myself crazy. So that's important, and doing more in the community would be nice. I'd like to do something big at my church too.
Okay.
And I will. Years ago, Stefan and I, my son, we did that's another thing we're involved in. We do an anti-bully support group for kids who've been teased and bullied.
Yeah.
And that's been very nice. We do it on the North Shore and the South Shore once a month. And it's called Play It Forward NY. And that's been really good. And we did actually an annual walk, our first walk in 2013 at Clove Lakes Park, which was very nice.
Okay.
And I hope to do that again. And get more support with the funding, because it costs a lot to have the insurance paid for or whatever. So we'll see. So there's some good things. There's always something, because you have to keep reinventing yourself.
Yeah, just the evolution of you. And you guys always have my support.
Thank you.
With the anti-bullying thing, that's an important topic in my life.
Yeah, you've done some wonderful things with that too, and supporting Play It Forward and doing your own stuff, and actually getting kids off the street with your music programs, so that they don't get in trouble or or they don't get hurt either. Both is very important.
Good defense is good offense. So if I could prevent things from happening,
yes,
it helps.
Because it really affects kids, for a long time, and if they don't get the help that they need, they can turn into anger and make things a heck of a lot worse.
Exactly.
So I commend you on that. That's great things that you're doing too, and hopefully we can do things together.
Of course, yeah. I'm honored that there's just so many great organizations that give me platforms. A lot of things are ideas I've had, and then it's like, hey, someone will be like, hey, come teach at this school, or come do that. So it's good that what I think is really, I think all these things that are happening to you in terms of be on the board of this, talk here, go on this show. It's like you're the living proof that it's possible. And I think anytime someone shows what's possible, other people are like, wait, come to us and over here and show that it's possible.
Right.
And you just keep getting those opportunities. So I always just say, don't let your passion be something that you keep in your closet. That's
true, because no one will know and you won't get anywhere.
Exactly. Wear it like it's your favorite hat or like your favorite kicks, despite if they're OG sneakers that you don't want to get scuffed. Go out there and play and learn something, because you're living proof. You've pushed through. You've done not only you've lived through it, but you've done thousands of hours of research, and you being alive is going to keep a lot of people alive longer. So it's a blessing.
Well, I feel good about it, and I also feel good when I meet people that have lived a long time with cancers. That gives me the incentive. I had a great friend at the church, the late Linda Cooper Gansey, who battled 2 or 3 different cancers for many years. And
Wow.
that woman always had a smile on her face, never complained. And I'd say to her sometimes, I feel like a wimp compared to you, And she said, it's okay. We all deal with it in our own way. And she really gave me the incentive, and she inspired me. And when she wound up passing, it wasn't even from cancer. Isn't that ironic? But what I did is she enjoyed once a year going to this convention that they had, that the church would travel to a different state. And she loved doing that. and we want to have children, like young teens, get involved in that, but they don't have the funds to travel. So I started a fund over there, the Linda's Legacy, so that if people put their dollar bills or change every Sunday in this bucket, that at the end of the year there's enough money to fund 1 or 2 teens to go to this big convention for the church. And I thought that would keep her legacy going, because that was something she was really passionate about. And she really left a mark on my life and gave me the incentive. It's amazing, and her family's amazing, and the church is great. So
Wow.
I'm glad. It's all good. They taught me to be a better person. That person was hidden somewhere inside of me, but it gives me the incentive to do more, and that's okay. That's all good.
That's amazing. And it just makes me think of my mom, because there's been a lot of times where people have been like, wow, you're not taking care of yourself. You're so busy out there doing it. But I think, like, it's just so important to her. It's almost part of her.
It is.
The way
I
she
believe it.
follows through, and, like, she's there for everything. And there's a lot of times where I'm, like, tired, or, like, I've had a long day, and, like, someone will be like, hey, could you make one shirt and drive it to the South Shore or what? And I'm like, I think about it, I'm like, but I've been, as of, I've been told I'm kind, but as of late, I've been making an effort to be even more kind, because I'm like, I'm kind, but I think I limit myself sometimes. Like, I kind of stop myself
Well, you're
from being
human.
too. So I've been even making it an effort. Even my friend Maureen, shout out to her. She lost her son due to bullying.
Oh,
And
sorry.
she pushes being kind. That's, like, one of her big things. So, like, I take those things, like, just things my mom does and what my friend Maureen says, and I'm just like, you know what? I'll go the extra. I go the extra mile, but my extra mile is probably my minimum. Let me go a little bit further.
Right.
And, like, people are like, wow, you didn't have to come all the way here. And I'm like, nah, like, I was able to. I just got a new car. Why not?
Yeah,
And,
that's good. Oh, congratulations on your car. What kind of car?
Thank you. Toyota Prius. So
Good for
I've
you.
had one for 11 years. I just kept the tradition going and got a new
Yeah,
one.
that's okay. But I think, doing good and for the community is good. But there's a fine line between doing good and going overboard, where you're actually depleted of your energy
Exactly.
and your creativity, or let's say some people want that approval all the time. Oh, this person's great. So you have to know your limits.
Exactly.
You have to know about your own self, because you do have to take care of yourself to be able to continue. Like I tell everyone, you can live to your 90 or 100, but do you want to live in a debilitated way, or a better way, a positive
Exactly.
way where you feel better? We can all live till that age, but who's going to be thinking sharper? Who's going to be feeling better? And the same thing with your mom. And I know as a mom too, we do give a lot, and we do forget about ourselves, especially during the younger years when you're being brought up. And those are crucial years that we should be exercising, and we didn't maybe.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's good now that hopefully she, as good as she is and she's doing a lot, that she also has to take care of herself. And,
Yeah.
you need to know that. We all think our parents are going to live forever because we see our parents as very strong. I know my mother was a very strong lady. She came from a horrible background, childhood. And it's amazing how kind she is, when she could have turned the other way and been as horrendous as her parents at times. But it takes its toll, and it's important that now for her to be happy, and that's why, I'm having her move in with me, if that's going to make her happy. But, we have to take care of our people and be able to see it. But it's hard when I
Yes.
see her slowing down, or going slower with her memory, and it's hard.
Yeah.
And I get so upset because I'm scared. And it took me a while to understand it, because I snapped at her one day. I lost my patience, and then I started crying because I lost patience. And I realized, Ma, it's because I'm scared, because I'm afraid of you getting frail. And I really had to come to terms with that it's my fear of losing her that made me so anxious, and or my, sometimes I'd say, why you, I'm a big girl and you treat me like a kid. And then I realized, when does a mother ever stop mothering? Never.
Yeah.
Because, especially with me, when it comes to my illness, money's not going to help me. Materialistic things are not going to help me. Only the mothering from my mother can help me, besides the love of my family, of course. But so why take that away from her and say, look, I'm big, don't treat me like a child.
Exactly.
Because that's the only gift she has left that she can give me. So remember that, because we all think that way, like, oh, why is my mother babying me?
I'm good. I don't need
Yeah,
but then it's like, that's all she could
That's
give.
all she could do, because everything else you could do for yourself, and the
Exactly.
rest is up to somebody higher up there. So let her mother you. What the hell? Enjoy it, because what's the alternative, really?
It's so true. It's so true. And yeah, I was telling my friend earlier, like, moms are truly probably the best thing in the world. Like, it's moms, and then I feel like food is next. But moms is like a very high first.
Yeah, I would think so. And if she cooks good, that's a plus. And yet we're not taking away from the father, because the father has to work and make the money. I'm talking old school now. That's not very good. Women make money too, yes. But
no, of course.
You still see it as he's wrapped up in his fear of trying to keep everybody fed, clothed, sometimes a roof over your head. So he doesn't really have that luxury. And because his father didn't have it, they sometimes aren't going to be as nurturing as a mom, and doesn't mean they don't love you. They do.
Exactly.
It's just, they have a different way of showing it. Hey, you're eating? It must be his food.
Of course. Yeah, dads, of course. No, they're not third place to food.
Yeah.
They're, when I say the best, it's just in my own opinion. My dad's the best as well.
They
so
sound awesome.
Shout out to all the dads as well.
Yes.
It's almost Father's Day. Don't forget to show some love.
Yeah.
To those guys out there doing their thing. I was talking to my friend Paris about this a few episodes ago. She's a runner for the Puerto Rico team, and we were talking about, like, I think sometimes it's like, oh, I talk to myself, people assume, oh, you're crazy. Oh, like me, I find myself fighting negative vibes. If I have one, I'll be like, yo, relax, man. Like, is there anything that you say to yourself that inspire, or they'll calm the negative vibe, or they'll push you through? Is there any like quote or anything you say to yourself to push you through?
Okay, let me think. Well, I know that, yes, sometimes when I wake up in the morning, all these things that I've worried about the night before come right out to the front of my face again, and I'm looking at it, and I have to talk myself and calm myself down and say, it's okay, Debra, things are going to be all right today.
Yeah.
I usually say a prayer, and that helps. I'm not a holy roller, but I believe that you have to believe in something. It doesn't matter what you believe in, as long as you believe that there's something, some other force, because sometimes we need help. And so it's basically just praying, watch over me, watch over my family, keep me strong so I can do the things I have to do today. I like accomplishing things. So, yes, a prayer of keep me strong today so I can accomplish what I have to accomplish. I feel like, gee, then I'm healthy today because I did accomplish something. That's important to me. I mean, sometimes in the morning I'm brushing my teeth and I'll get teary-eyed and, think about all the other things in my life. But then I say, all right, calm down. Nothing's a catastrophe, because I used to have a habit of worrying about things that are going to happen 10 years down the road. Like, what a joke now. Yeah. You don't think about that anymore. So it's basically, like you said, like you talk to yourself. But basically I say, it's all right, Deb. That's what I basically say to myself. It's all right. It will be okay. Somebody's watching over you, and that's all right. And that's how I lift myself up. And sometimes I have to say, all right, stop dragging yourself and get your buns moving and do what you got to do.
That's great.
So
That's
hopefully
amazing.
that's helped.
Yeah. And that's so cool. And it's been an amazing episode. It always gets to this point. I'm like, oh man, it's over. But it's not over. You always have our support. Maybe let people know if there's maybe a site or a page or anything people could check out.
Yes.
Keep in touch with you.
Definitely. So it's cancertamer.org or info@cancertamer.org if you want to know about that. and reach me that way. If you want to know about the anti-bully support group, it's Play It Forward NY,
Okay.
anti-bully support group. We're on Facebook. We have a website, and you'll read some articles on it. And those are basically it. If you want to reach out personally, my email, literally Deb, D-E-B, @AOL.com. Please feel free. I talk about anything, whatever you want to talk about. I am not a shy person. That's one good thing. My friends were always impressed because I wasn't shy. And when I was a little girl, I'd walk up to people and go, "Hi, my name is Debra. You want to be my friend?"
Wow. I think it goes back to what you were saying. Someone said you have.
Yes.
That's great. And it goes back to the confidence thing, too, of just like, and knowing yourself.
Right. And there were times, as a Gemini, I have that dual personality. Some days I have confidence, some days I don't, but it's all right. But I thank you so much, Dave. It's been such a great opportunity being here, and you're doing great things with your life and with the community, definitely. And hope to see more and get involved in more stuff, too. I would love to do that.
Any way we could involve you, we definitely will. And shout out to your whole family. Just always being such a supportive and positive light in my life and yours too.
Well, thank you, Dave.
All right, guys. Make sure to stay connected for the next episode and also stay online. Kitty, the DJ, is going to crush it. She's one of the most awesome DJs I know. Make sure to stay logged in to Maker Park Radio and catch her set. And thank you all. Have a great night. That went well.
Yeah, we have